Hello everybody. My name is Anita Modestova. We are on the page called Teachers Teach Teachers. That's the program I run. And apart from running a program for English teachers, I really enjoy talking to English teachers. I think this is why it all started. And I sometimes meet with different teachers for different reasons. And today I'm here together with Gabrielle Jones. And Gabrielle has been a business English trainer and coach for like forever. or,
Over 20 years, which is embarrassing. Yes, over 20 years.
yeah, working in multinational companies in Germany, in Spain, Ecuador, in the United Kingdom. And she's also a lecturer of English for logistics and health management in
Mhm,
several
mhm.
universities. That sounds complicated. Logistics and health management.
It's not the same degree program, so two different. So that gives me
Yeah.
a little bit of breath between the two things.
Doesn't make it easier. Anyway.
Doesn't,
um,
doesn't.
Yeah, and you specialize in language and communication training in English, yeah, in English for special purposes. So,
That's right.
so you're more like a business trainer or a language trainer? Or-
I think well, I'm both. I don't think you can separate the two things, but of course, compared to, let's say, somebody going into a general English classroom, what I do is much more business work. So I am teaching people language, but I'm teaching them the language that they need to achieve the skills that they have to use at their workplace. So it all is all very work focused, but a lot of those skills, of course, are transferable in the general English classroom as well.
Right, I see. So have you always taught adults for specific purposes, or?
Yes, it was. So my background is that I studied business and languages, and then decided very shortly after that to go into teaching. And the reason was that the job that I had been doing involved quite a lot of training of adults in management things and computer programs and things like that. And I really enjoyed the training element much more than working in the business. And so I got into teaching, and I did a CELTA course, which of course is directed at people who are going to be teaching adults. And my first place of work was Germany, and the majority of the market is concentrated on teaching adults. The ESL market focuses very much on business English. And so that's kind of how I got into things and stayed there. And I was never particularly interested in teaching children, but now I have my own. I'm becoming a little bit more flexible, and there are some tendencies to try that out a little bit just for fun.
Just for fun, right? And what languages do your kids speak? Or
They speak English and German. My husband is German, and so he exclusively speaks German to them, and I exclusively speak English to my kids. And it's so fascinating. I think any kids can do this, but they can totally swap the languages from one person to the other and translate things. It's little brains are incredible. Big brains too, but little brains even more so.
yes, it is true. Right. Thank you, Victoria, for wishing us a good morning. Good morning to you too. So, guys, if you're joining, you can ask questions. So, I have a list of my questions, but your questions are more than welcome. We'll be here for about 40 minutes speaking about mostly teaching adults and business English. So, maybe with a little bit of a digression, but still, this is our plan. We'll be speaking about soft skills because it's kind of the one of the it topics today these days, I believe. I used to be a business trainer myself, so I'm a psychologist by like my official initial education, and then I was trained as a business trainer, and I used to actually deliver training sessions on soft skills like leadership, public speaking, time management, and stuff like that. And now I teach English. Basically, I teach general English to adults. So my question to you, Gabrielle, the first one I like to ask it to some people, um, is there actually such thing as business English that is like massively different from general English, or is it just branding?
No, I think it is massively different. It is
Hmm.
massively different. So the main difference, as I would say, is when you put together a group of general English learners, you tend to have people who've more or less all got the same level. And the goal that they have is they want to improve. Well, this is from my experience anyway. It's not always exclusively that way, but the goal is to have a group of people who have more or less a harmonious level, and they're moving from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. You know, they start as beginners, and maybe they want to become proficient, or they want enough English to be able to go on holiday, but they're moving through levels of ability. Whereas when you have a business English group, you very often have people who may have wildly different levels, but the goals of what they want to achieve are harmonious. So that means that you have 5 people from a purchasing department in a company. They all need to be able to talk to suppliers and negotiate contracts, and that's what you work on. And whereas with general English classes, you may have a textbook. I think traditionally people use textbooks or course materials which are standardized. Business English is very much focused on really specific needs that people have, communication objectives that they have to be able to complete in the workplace. And you spend a lot more time developing course materials yourself or with the group of people which target those needs and allow them to practice the language that they need. So yeah, I guess, of course, there are some overlaps. You do things like confidence building and trying to get people to speak more fluently for longer periods of time, ask and answer questions. But maybe your long-term objectives are quite different, and how you meet those objectives, they're very different approaches.
Right. So I just wanted to make sure I understand you correctly. Does it mean that in your experience, so if there's a business English group, they basically you don't have groups of different levels in the company, or do you? So
Not
like
different
for
levels,
business.
the different language ability.
Hmm.
So you may get somebody, you would never get a beginner with somebody who's almost proficient, but
Hmm.
there is a lot more flexibility, and your job is to make sure it's clear to them that they have to kind of work and support each other to help each other, because there's a common area of language which they all need to learn,
Hmm.
which relates to the jobs that they do. Yeah, so that you do sometimes get senior management with secretaries or production workers, but that's less common because the companies funding the course tend to group the people according to a level within the organization. And of course, that's because they have common language that they have to use. Senior managers don't use the same language that people on the assembly floor do.
Hmm. Right. I see. Yes. So there is more into how you set up the groups in the
Mhm.
company. It's usually
Yeah.
adds to the problems you usually have. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
goals. Goals are the main way of organizing groups in business English. What
Yeah.
goals do?
Yeah. And in terms of the language itself, so the reason I ask this question, I don't, I haven't taught business English that much because I think mostly I got students of working within the company. A company was paying for them, and they were supposed to be business English. Business was called business English, but then I got pre-intermediate students. So who would actually just need to communicate with other people in English, like welcome guests or, of course, take part in meetings. But mostly it was like random chit chat, coffee, kind of welcoming thing. And it was I was like, how is it different from like my regular group, basically, when people need to communicate better in the language? So that's why I asked. So do you believe there is like a massive difference in the language itself that we teach?
The language that they use, I think, yes, because you tend to use, so if you've got a general English class, you have a textbook, and there are set topics which you'll always see in general English textbooks, going on holiday, spending time with friends and hobbies and talking about family. And these topics are repeated and repeated and repeated. And of course, the vocabulary related to those topics. Whereas if you're working in a business English class, you may have a group of people who work in, I teach in a company that makes supermarket trolleys. So most of the language that I'm teaching in any level is about supermarket trolleys and the process of making them, or organizing meetings for people who discuss supermarket trolleys. So my vocabulary about supermarket trolleys is enormous. or it could be like
Congratulations.
it's really strange, or crane building and things like this. Of course, there are people who don't have direct contact to the products or services that the company makes, so like the secretaries, but then you're teaching them how to be able to answer the phone effectively, how to be able to use the international alphabet when they answer the phone so that they can check the spelling, clarifying and summarizing language. So yeah, to me, the lexis, the vocabulary items that you teach in business English are normally very different to the ones that you do in a general English
Right.
class.
And who taught you all? I mean, first of all, where did you learn about this, like maybe psychology of group assembling in business English, what you said, like not mixing the levels and everything. And who taught you all that vocabulary about trolleys and stuff?
Okay, so the assembling groups is, I guess it's something that I have learned as I went along, but I'm a very keen language learner myself, and I studied at university, and so I've been in lots of different groups where I've had to communicate with people. I've had management positions where I've had to learn how to communicate with other people, and so you kind of get tips about who works well with others and how to communicate with them. But yeah, experience really teaches you how things are going to go well and not. And after 20 years, I'd like to think I'm quite proficient in group dynamics. And turning to the vocabulary thing, that's really something that you learn on the job, which is what makes business English really, really interesting to me. Because you not only learn a huge amount yourself, but also develop the enthusiasm in these people to be able to talk about their jobs confidently and in a relaxed way. So yeah, they're both kind of on the job skills I've acquired, I guess.
On the job skills, right? And now we've established that you've been doing it for a while, since 2000, yeah.
2000, yeah.
Yeah. What do you do for your own CPD, or is there like like a moment when you don't need anymore? It's like, yeah, okay, I know everything, I can relax and just do my job.
Um, well, first of all, learning itself is something I think you have to do to keep sane your entire life. I think people should always be learning something. My mother is 74. She still goes to an embroidery class, and it's so good for her brain. And she's learning all kinds of new skills, and I'm trying to learn all kinds of new skills. When it comes to professional development, as long as you're working, I think it is important to reflect on what makes you employable,
Hmm.
what keeps you motivated doing your job, what keeps you ahead of your game. And so for me, it's really, really important to try out different things, to learn different things, to add to my portfolio of skills. So we've been talking about business English, but this year I also completed a course with International House about teaching very young learners, so in the age of my children who are 3, because that helps me expand my portfolio of skills, and it allows me to teach young children, which is something which fits with my lifestyle at the moment, because I'm more or less a stay-at-home mum. I don't have I've got some English classes that I teach, but not the 30-hour week that I was teaching a few years ago. And also doing a course which is run by a British university on dyslexia in the language learning classroom, which is fascinating because I'm actually married to a dyslexic, and which is something which can be inherited. So there is a possibility that my children may be dyslexic, and of course they need to learn languages in the future, and I hope to be able to support them with that. And a lot of my students in technical universities are dyslexic because the nature of a lot of engineers, the double the amount of engineers are dyslexic to the average person in society. I'm not explaining that very well. 1 in 10 people is dyslexic. So 10% of everybody who you meet are dyslexic. When it comes to engineers and people working in an engineering field, it's up to 1 in 5. So due to the people who I teach, it's really, really interesting for me to learn about that. And yeah, it expands my skills. It makes me feel more confident in what I'm teaching. And it's just all round good for me and my brain, I think.
All right. Yeah, there's a lot of learning. Wow.
Yeah.
Hi, Ilona. We have a new hello in the chat. Oh, but that's a lot. That's a lot of learning, and yeah, I think, yeah. Maybe my experience learning like to become an English teacher. We do have a lot of subjects on how to work with kids and kids psychology and pedagogical things, and there are not too many programs explaining how adult brain works, and how to deal with
Mhm.
adults, because they kind of assume, adults, they're all right, they'll learn something.
Yeah, but there's quite a lot of things that you can do. So I'm also the chair of the local teachers association in my area, which is responsible for the areas up to Stuttgart and Munich. There's quite a lot of English teachers in the region, and we offer workshops online, and we are able to attend workshops online on a monthly basis. So every month, at least once or twice, I sit down and listen to a 1 or 2 hour seminar, and even that does a lot for me. And we're part of an international network. There's an international association of teachers of English as a foreign language, and they offer also monthly webinars, and those are nice small chunks of CPD that people can do. It doesn't have to be a commitment to a 6-month course or a 4-week course. 1 hour a month sitting drinking a coffee in your pajamas, you still can learn quite a lot. And again, it's just really good for your brain.
It's just really good for our brains, true. And sometimes really, it's even maybe better sometimes to learn something not necessarily connected to teaching,
Yeah,
you're doing at the
yes,
moment. Yeah.
absolutely.
I listen to this IT podcast now, and it's kind of I can feel my brain is getting stronger and better.
Yeah, that's it. Well, you need to keep challenging yourself, I think, to keep the brain cells, getting bigger, getting fuller, getting more active. And learning is not just about things related to your job. I just learned how to bake bread last year during the COVID
Oh,
crisis, and language learning. I take a Spanish class once every couple of weeks as well. So all of these things are really good for people.
it's true. I have my Spanish class right after our interview today, so.
Oh, nice. So nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so the reason I ask is sometimes, so I run this program for English teachers. It's called Teachers Teach Teachers, and we have kind of turned out to be a 3-year program, and now
Mhm.
we're finishing the year 3, and I'm a learner myself, and I understand that I want to keep going, because I mean there's no way we can stop. Also, for me, I need to practice English because I don't live in a like an English speaking place. And yeah, and sometimes we get some questions from teachers like, "Whoa, 3 years? Do you have a shorter, more intensive program?" It's like, no, we don't, and we don't want to. So there are different. But you'll be running a short-term program.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there are different ways to get your CPD, and I'm gonna ask you
Mhm.
about this program in about a second. But
Mhm.
now, hello from Sri Lanka. Hello to Sri
Wow.
Lanka. I've never been there. Have you, Gabrielle?
No, but it is on my list of places to go. It's supposed to be absolutely beautiful. I know lots of people who have been there, and it's
Yeah.
worth the trip.
Just saw the pictures, yeah, right. Hello, guys. I experimented a little bit, and there was a moment, there was a kind of card, I think, with a question, but nobody answered it. So maybe it's just, I was trying to learn something new about Facebook, but
Mm.
probably wasn't that successful. So let us know in the comments if you teach adults or kids or any other ages, if there are, like pre-primary and stuff. And if you teach business English, or if you've ever taught business English, or if you're thinking of teaching business English to adults, it would be cool to know what you do, guys. And I'm gonna ask, so basically, you couldn't submit the answer. I don't know. Sorry. Okay, we'll experiment with this tool next time we do a live, I guess. Um, so we're here initially to speak about soft skills and language skills. So my question would be, are these the same or not? And how do you define soft skills in language teaching?
Okay. Yes, soft skills and language skills are interwoven. You can't have one without the other. As language teachers, what we tend to think of with language skills are the ability to use grammar fluently, the ability to use vocabulary correctly, and the ability to read, to write, to speak, and to listen. But soft skills are additional to that, but part of that. Soft skills are the characteristics that a good communicator has,
Mhm,
which allows them not only to use accurate language, but to use the language to the best effect.
mhm,
That means, for example, I'm a doctor, and I have got the skill of being a trained surgeon, but my soft skill is my bedside manner. It's what makes me effective. It's the characteristic that I need that goes parallel to the hard skill of my qualifications. So a good communicator uses vocabulary and language effectively. That's the hard skill, but is diplomatic and personable at the same time. That's the soft skill. So they go together. One can't really exist without the other if you want to be effective.
Right, right. I see. So these are the two things. Okay. And so the soft skills you teach, like kind of in language teaching, are the soft skills basically you teach or what you learn when attending a business training session, or not?
Yeah, partly. So if you take the example, working in teams or working with other people effectively, that's a skill that you can teach, a soft skill that you can teach in a general English class, and you can teach it in a business English class. But the difference in the business English classes, you would probably give it a very specific context. So it would be communicating with other people effectively while negotiating, or communicating with people effectively while dealing with conflict. So, so yes, there are parallels, but a lot of these very complex and complicated sounding soft skills in business can easily be transferred to general English to make teachers more competent at teaching and language learners more competent at using language.
I see. I see. Thank you. Um, Right, so your first lecture on the course that you'll be doing very soon, yeah, for the Dmitry Nikitin School, and we're going to post the link like attached to this live. Your first lecture is on listening skills, but the
Mhm,
probe is mostly about how to listen like effectively in the meaning of soft skills, like understanding and
mhm,
reacting like, to what the
mhm.
person says. So, why do you believe it's important to teach listening this way and not just focus like on, language skills, like connected speech and stuff?
Mhm. That is a very good question. So I read somewhere the other day, there's a reason why you have two ears and one mouth,
Mm.
because listening is so much more important than speaking. And also that listening is not only hearing, hearing is receiving the information, listening is processing and responding to the information. And it's a really, really important skill. And so there's different types of skills contained within listening. You have, for example, appreciative listening, which is listening to something just because you enjoy it. Comprehensive listening, which is listening to something like a lecturer talking, or a trainer giving you a course, and you're just listening for understanding. But you also have critical listening, which is listening to somebody and trying to work out, is there a hidden meaning in what they're saying? What is the thing that they're really trying to communicate? And empathetic listening, which is hugely important, which is about building relationships with the person to whom you're talking and to whom you're listening. And so the last two skills are totally different to the things which we typically teach as listening skills, which is, gist skills. What's the main message of what I'm listening? What are the detailed messages? Perhaps you look at some underlying messages, but focusing very much on how to build a relationship with the person who has spoken to you and to whom you've listened is really important, not only in business life, but in everyday life. Communicating to somebody in a shop, communicating to somebody who you're staying with on holiday, it's a really, really important skill. So I think that's why that's number one on my topics for this soft skills course. Really important.
Yeah, thank you. Now, that's really amazing to hear, and I totally agree that maybe sometime into our professional development, and we kind of forget that we're learning or teaching the language for people to interact with people, and maybe those social skills, soft skills, are in a way even more important than language accuracy, for example, because
Absolutely.
but the yes, that's the reason why we're learning the language. I'm terribly sorry. There was a mix-up with the link for today, so our Zoom is going to stop us in 5 minutes, 50 seconds. But maybe it's a good idea for us to stick to timing as well, because that's what we promised, 40 minutes together. So I'm gonna ask you about the course you're doing, because you'll
Yeah.
soon be running a course for the Dmitry Nikitin School. It's called Teaching Adults Project, together with David Riddell and Andrew Walkley. And could you tell us a little bit about the part you're planning to do? What's it all about?
Yeah, so I'm going to cover 6 different soft skills, which I think are hugely beneficial for teachers to be more aware of and for teachers to help their language learners develop in their classrooms. So it doesn't matter if you're teaching adults and your adults are good at communicating, these are really important skills. So we're going to look at things like creative problem solving, time management, self-confidence, boosting learners' self-confidence by giving effective feedback, presenting yourself effectively, listening skills, and we'll do one of these per month, and we'll have a look at business frameworks or well-known models of how these soft skills are most effectively performed in a very manageable, easy to understand way. And then we'll look at how we can transfer that to the way that we teach our learners and how we can use activities to target those skills within our learners so that we all improve our soft skills.
Wow. That sounds impressive. And don't worry, guys, it's a 6-month course, so it's not like
Yes, exactly.
very, you don't have to do it and learn it in one day. Is And I understand this is the first time you do a course for the Dmitry Nikitin School for.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very much looking forward to it.
Right. And have you ever done anything for Russian teachers, or is it going to be your first time meeting so many teachers from mostly Russia, I think?
Yeah, I've spoken at a couple of conferences also with the Dmitry Nikitin School, which was very nice. But it's the first time that I'll be working over a longer period of time with a group of Russian teachers. But I'm very, very looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Yeah, in 6 months you'll be able to learn, pick up some Russian as well,
Yeah,
probably.
I hope so. I hope so.
Right. I'm actually like, I mean, the reason I said for Russian teachers because Russian speaking teachers from all over the world, because the website and the marketing they do is in Russian. But I'm pretty sure that if you don't speak Russian, I mean, all the speakers are going to speak English, so you still can join, and somebody will help you, I'm pretty sure. So, guys, if you have any questions to Gabrielle, now would be the time to ask them, or wait for the course and ask them there. Victoria, hey, hello. Victoria is from Ukraine. Victoria's been watching us. Yeah, so I do recommend. I love basically everything that Dmitry Nikitin does. I'm a very big fan of what he does, of the programs he creates, and so I can always recommend basically everything he does. And I was really happy to meet you, Gabrielle. Now I'm really inspired, and now I'll be thinking of doing the course now. I wasn't planning.
Good. Sign up. Sign up.
Oh no, no,
Welcome.
so many. I was planning to maybe relax in my pajamas, drinking coffee, but maybe I could do both, a little bit of
You
both.
can do that. It's online. It's online.
Yeah, I know. I know. I don't quite too many programs by Dmitry Nikitin for me, but yeah, no, it's I teach adults, and so I've been thinking of this course. I also had an interview with David Riddell, 2 interviews actually, guys. If it's there, I'll attach all the links. I'll add them to the description of this live. If you have any questions, I've already mentioned you can ask them under this live if you're watching the recording, and we'll ask Gabrielle maybe to answer them at some point, probably. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day. Good morning again to you, Gabrielle.
And you, and you.
Very lovely meeting you. Okay, I'm gonna stop live for now. Then it's gonna be it. And thank you everybody for watching. I'm not very nice today in the morning. Okay, thank you. See you. See you all.